You see this game? We didn't play it. This is the first year since 2014 where we didn't play TI4 or TI3 at any time at all. But before we get into the rest, now a word from our sponsor, World Series of Board Gaming. This is a giant convention for board gaming in Las Vegas, and it's huge, with 16 games to compete in and a grand prize of $25,000. If that's not huge, I don't know what is. There's a Dice Tower West provided gaming library, and there's not an overly competitive atmosphere, so come some, come all. If you're getting tickets for September's 2023's convention, you want to do the stay and play to not worry about surprise hotel fees so you can play more games. Or you can do the quadruple ring event. Just go to this link below and use our code Shelfside for $40 off your ticket. 2022 gaming is done, and yes, this video is a little late. It's already the first week of January over here. But yeah, this list is going to be a little different this year. We didn't play TI4, and this was the year that I reviewed every single Catan expansion. And then I also did my own campaign game run through by myself in ISS Vanguard. And then we launched our website and merch this year, both of which I need to rehaul for 2023. So freaking cool what's to come. But anyways, let's start with the worst gaming of 2022. There were actually no 1 out of 10 experiences, even though I did play Rising Sun again. I played that game sometime in spring to help Daniel with the review, and then I just said, yep, I still definitely dislike the game, but not as much as before. It doesn't help that I'm constantly getting outplayed and wrapping my head in circles fighting the mechanics. And then there was Sidereal Confluence, 8-player, which started out with a bang, and then it just kept going, and it just became a shouting match for hours and hours, and it felt like a very dry cube pusher. As I said in my Chinatown review a while back, I don't want my game to be all trading, and a Sidereal Confluence is pretty much all trading. See how I'm hand-holding filming with the camera? Yeah, that's right, I'm filming because I finished all my trades, and I just wanted to speed the game along. But then people decided to keep trading, so then I have to wait, and it's a bunch of downtime for me. Plus, I don't like to hear yelling in my ear for hours upon hours.
Oh, you want to
the problem is, you let you use the converter, right? And then
I don't know if I can do 6 browns, but I can give you like
browns and other stuff.
What?
Yeah, I can give you like 3 browns for some other shit. I can't do 6 unless I make further trades.
If you give me a converter I can use, I can pay you to use the converter.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, my converter is...
What if I traded you a black cube for that and a ship or something?
Like, I'm okay with like 1 round, but like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds is insane. And also, I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking that hard, but I already have my trades, so I'm just kind of waiting.
I need the black because eventually it's
Which check are you giving me?
Give me 3 knobs.
But my actual selection for the worst experience I've had all year board gaming is... Yep, Sid Meier's Civilization 2010. Yes, this one is really weird because it was in contention at some point for me for the top 3 games of all time. And then after one fateful 3-player playthrough, it got pushed way down my list. First off, the table was way too small, but we still decided to play anyways. The game went along fine until mid-game, until someone realized I was in contention for a tech victory and then utterly shut me down. But then he couldn't close out the game either, getting attacked by the 3rd player. But then that 3rd player had no out to win the game, so then the game just kept going. It was a vicious cycle of one person winning, and then getting dragged down, and then another person winning, and then getting dragged down, and then another person winning, and then getting dragged down. And we play with 3 players, so this cycle just kept happening over and over again. This is a fine idea and can be fun or very fun, but not when it happens over and over and over and over again. The thing is that we misplayed so much that nobody's economy was good enough to close out the game and win. And then everyone was just chucking a ton of money into military, and then the military kept dying in fights, which continued to prolong the game. I thought the game would end at 11 p.m. after starting around 6 p.m., and we ended at 4 a.m. after somebody finally eked out a win, and it wasn't me, by the way. 4 a.m. Yes, 4 a.m. That was one brutal drive home and continued to piss me off the next day. It's definitely a problem more of playing 3-player and definitely a problem of playing with analysis paralysis friends who spend way too long on their turn. And then this was all made much worse by playing on that small, tiny table to where we're constantly losing track of things. Such a long, soured experience makes me hesitant to play this again, even though Civ is still hovering around fringe top 10 to me miraculously because I just like this game so much from the previous experiences. Now, the ugliness of having so many pieces, an unpredictable runtime, and being absolutely devastating to play when behind is catching up to me. But then when this game fires, it fires hard for so many interesting mechanics of the battle system, the theme meeting gameplay really well with the cities building up, and then the cool yet admittedly unwieldy tech trees. I've just had so many good memories with Civ. I'm not gonna let it go yet, but yes, it is going to be my selection for the worst experience of 2022. Before I get to the top 3 gaming experiences, I have some honorable mentions that are in no particular order. Like Takenoko, that I played a bunch of in real life and on Board Game Arena, and man, this game never fails to impress me after I memorized all the cards in the game. I've played it so much that it is no longer 10 out of 10 jumping out at me anymore, but every time I play, I consistently have a great time, and all those game nights really do add up to a game I had to include on this list. Then The Godfather by Eric M. Lang is also another mention, but didn't quite break the top 3 because I do think it runs a little long at the end. Still, the worker placement plus area control is a lot deeper than it lets on from the rules, and I love the theme. During this particular session you're seeing, I remember there was a massive drug war. But then everyone was too conservative to even use all their narcotics, which count as wilds, so there was a hold on harvesting more drugs because there were no more drug cards. I've always had a great time with this game. The last honorable mention is Dune Imperium, which I'm not too crazy about anymore. As you can see, it's a digital PNG right here. I lent the game to a friend, but I really enjoyed it the first couple playthroughs we had in January. So Dune Imperium immediately impressed me with its fun worker placement meeting deck building, with tons of player conflict on the planet's surface. And then there's multiple ways to score points, including a tense faction allegiance tug of war. This all culminated into at least 2 games where we were first figuring out the game's mechanics, where the potential for point swings in the faction allegiances, planet combat, and hidden cards had me sweating hard. There were mind games galore, with multiple people at 8 victory points and you need 10 to win. Again, this was in January, so I can't really say more specifics past that, but this game had an immediate charm to me. If I have some time open this year, I'd like to review Dune Immortality, and hopefully that can inject some more life into Dune Imperium after Rise of Ix started to burn me out of it. Okay, let's get to the actual top 3 gaming experiences now. Starting off this top 3, number 3 on this list is gonna be ISS Vanguard. Yep, this one actually surprised me because I'm not much of a campaign gamer or a solo gamer, and playing this game solo by controlling 2 characters at once is a little fiddly for my tastes. But one of the scenarios in ISS Vanguard was so magical, it just blew me away, and I'm going to spoil it all right now. So this is a mid-ish campaign reveal. If you don't want to get spoiled, go ahead and jump to the timestamp below. Go ahead and click it below. Please, if you're ever thinking of playing ISS Vanguard, you should probably skip ahead. Come back to the screen, come back, click. 3, 2, 1, okay, we're going in. There is a time when you fly to a solar system, and then suddenly your captain says, there's a problem, a bunch of aliens are aboard the Vanguard and we're fighting to protect ourselves, but stay calm, okay? Yes, huge armored aliens are bursting into the ISS Vanguard itself, or are already in the ship, and you must fend them off. This literally means that you are going to take planetary exploration mechanics, which you've been doing for the game so far, and use them to protect your very home ship. There's no evacuating from planets now, it's win this or it's the end, folks. The scenario actually felt like it was pulling all the right narrative stops for a thematic campaign game. There's immediate tension as the bridge blows up, and there's an enemy advantage marker that if it gets too high, your ship gets messed up. Does that mean you lose the campaign? I don't know, I should go make sure that doesn't get too high. Plus, there's 3 super important parts of the Vanguard that have been taken over, and it's your job to choose which order to take them back. From the armory, to the med bay, to the hangar, but you're running short on time, and so which one goes first? You must fight and trudge your way to these 3 places, taking back sectors that have been overrun, and choosing which hills to die on as you reach new areas and decide how to handle the panicking crowds. To add even more theme, there's an enemy space cruiser bombarding the Vanguard during this, so you have to navigate carefully unless you want your explorers to get heavily injured. Do you want to take on the side quest to destroy this space cruiser? Well, this is where the game does some really cool campaign board game stuff, where it takes your crew members that you didn't commit to this mission and tells you, hey, you can use these people to do this side quest for you. The more the merrier. But they might die doing this, as in die and permanently removed from the game forever. This type of decision making punches me in the gut, as it feels like I'm dealing with real lives. The homies I've been traveling to planets with and ranking up, and now they must give their life for the betterment of humanity's greatest ship? Hey, the rest of the campaign wasn't all this great, but this one here had this really well done high stakes scenario to really just draw me in at the perfect time in the campaign. I was committed to all the mechanics without playing them for too long to feel burned out. And the log reading in IS's Vanguard, where you don't know what's on the other side of successes and failures, can get really tacky when results feel dry or repetitive, but this scenario just made me feel like I was on the ship, storming corridors full of aliens, commanding my partners to hold the line, and cards didn't even feel like cards anymore. I don't know what it was like an out-of-body experience. I think the experience could have been even more awesome if I shared it with someone else. Probably moving this to number 2 on my list, but I have so many 2-player games to play, and so I'm stressed on time, like number 2 on my list. This is my number 2 on this list. What the heck? What is this? Soulforge Fusion? It looks so bootleg. Oh, wait a second. Richard Garfield? Huh. So one fateful day after Christmas, I walked into a local Barnes & Noble to do some editing, and then I saw that all board games are 50% off. Needless to say, this game being at $17 was the motivation I needed to try a new Richard Garfield game, and I was just completely floored by this mage dueler. To put it simply, it's really close to your typical card dueler, where you play monsters and spell cards from your hand to kill the enemy. And in this case, you play them in one of 5 columns. Okay, pretty cool. You make sure to protect your mage of 50 life points while making sure to kill your opponents of 50 life points. And then there's no deck building, rather you take 2 different preset decks and mash them together. Yeah, I've seen this story before with mixed personal enjoyment. But then, wait, there's 3 different decks within each pre-built deck? This is the really innovative leveling up system in Soulforge, where you level up your cards as you play. Every time you play a card, you take the next level, and then put that in your discard. Then when the current card would go to the discard, it goes to the banished area. It's out of the game forever. So then you're gonna reset your deck 3 rounds later, and then when you draw that name of card, it's the level 2 version. You now just have this in your deck, and the same thing applies for level 2 cards becoming level 3 cards. That trial game had me nostalgic in all the right ways, as Soulforge had the standard card game stuff, big meaty monsters with piercing attacks, token-based gameplay, area of effect spells, it's all here, but then the cards are leveling up. The leveling up system makes you second guess playing every card in the early to mid game, and then the actual game is only about 30 minutes, so it's exactly the length I'm looking for in a card game. That one game of Soulforge recaptured that magic of being an 8-year-old again, and then being at a friend's house and just discovering a new card game that you want to commit a ton of time to. Now, I'm not saying go out and immediately buy this game though, because the components that aren't cards feel really, really shoddy. And the game overall just feels like a demo kit instead of a starter kit. There's not even a rulebook included. And then I've only played it once, so the game could just end up being a completely unbalanced mess, or I might just not like it after a couple plays, but who knows? This one playthrough I had with it was so fun, and we're talking about board game experiences of 2022, so yeah, this is my number 2. Now it's time for number 1, and 2022 was a fun year because we did not play this TI4 game ever at all. So, what could the number 1 gaming experience of 2022 be for me? It is Star Wars Rebellion. Yep, me as a Rebel player has been so impressed by this game, it just continues to blow me away. So I played this game around February or March of 2022 with the buddy that I made the review with, so it was about our 5th playthrough, and there was just so many new strategies that came up. The thing about Star Wars Rebellion is that because the game is such a great cat and mouse of Empire trying to find the rebels, the tension happens right away. And there's so much freedom about how you want to move your troops or initially position them. So my friend had a plan to spread the Empire fleet a little thin to do a more efficient sweep of the galaxy on the first turn, and that gave me the fun idea, what if I just attack him as the rebels on the first turn? So I took my entire rebel fleet and I all-in'd his force on the first turn, and I took out an Imperial Star Destroyer and a bunch of smaller ships, and suddenly, half the galaxy, half of the board was just completely open for me. It was like a huge weight was lifted off my back, and I was just brimming from excitement within the first 15 minutes of the game. Okay, so the details after that are a little hazy to me. I mean, it happened around February or March, but I'm gonna recount the details as best as I can. Of course, it might be slightly biased towards me. My friend came back in full force rather soon, and the game was a tense duel of about 4 hours with us just shaking with nervousness and excitement. Whenever it was time to delegate leaders to go on cards, I could have sworn that we would just sit there in silence for 15 minutes, and then occasionally trash talking each other and trying to out mind game one another. I even did the crazy tactic of using the card where you can move ships from your rebel base to anywhere and actually using it to move adjacently from my rebel base. The game went down to the wire, and on the dawn of the 4th or the 5th hour of the game, my friend later told me that he wanted to take the safe route of just sweeping the galaxy a little more and playing it safe instead of going for his gut feeling of where my rebel base was, and I won the game on time. I just barely won by stalling. It's so climactic. I am just so excited to play this game more. We have a 4-player game scheduled for sometime later in January, so that should be a fun experience. And then I have to buy this expansion at some point and then do a quick review on that. But for now, Star Wars Rebellion is not a game I want to play frequently because it's so intense. It's just so much to take in. But when I do play it, it really feels rewarding, and there's just so many fun memories. Star Wars Rebellion, go Rebels. So I'm sure you're saying, okay, that's a pretty cool list of top gaming of 2022, but what about your favorite game? Why didn't you play that? What the heck happened? And I was thinking, yeah, what the heck did happen? So I actually think that this year was a pretty weak year for me for board gaming. I looked back at the games I reviewed and only gave 2 8 out of 10s and 1 9 out of 10. And that 9 out of 10 was for a game I've been playing since high school. The average out of all my personal scores actually came out to a 5.7, which is slightly above average on my scale. Kind of funny how that works. So definitely need to be playing more games in 2023. And I mean, just look at all these games that are begging for my attention to make reviews in this year, 2023. More here. Oh, yeah, there we go. And then we have more games coming in this year, like these guys. I think these should be here like tomorrow. So yeah, let me know which one of these you want to see most for a review, so I can kind of see the audience expectations out there. Okay, anyways, see you guys more in 2023. Now we gotta do our Patreon shout out, and yo guys, thank you so much. These reviews take a long time to make, and so it's really cool having you guys on board, and I communicate with you guys on our Discord server, and I give you guys the special perks when I can, and I have the giant list of Patreon subscribers right here. Thank you guys so much for pledging to the Patreon. I really do appreciate it, and this just really helps me, buy the games and also have the time to make the reviews. And then after that list is done, we have our Mad Lads of Cardboard. These are guys that have $20 a month in the Patreon, and that just means a lot. Like, I still can't believe people are paying to see me make videos and board game. Yeah, anyways, that was the video for 2022. I'll see you guys this year more. Bye-bye.